Hello, fight fans. Thanks for joining us at MMA Insider. Before we get rolling with today's news, show some love by hitting that like button and subscribing. Now let's uncover the latest happenings in MMA. Starting off, Daniel Cormier cautions Belal Muhammad amidst intensifying Kamaru Usman beef. Moving on, fight fans react to previous footage of Jon Jones grappling with Gordon Ryan. Next, Donald Trump feuds with Joe Rogan after UFC commentator shows support for Robert Kennedy. Lastly, Tom Aspinall calls for Stipe to be Joe Biden'd from Jon Jones' title fight. UFC Hall of Famer Daniel Cormier feels Belal Muhammad might be biting off more than he can chew when it comes to his growing beef with Kamaru Usman. Muhammad earned the UFC welterweight title by defeating Leon Edwards last month at UFC 304. The win capped off a remarkable streak in the welterweight division, including wins over Gilbert Burns and Stephen Thompson. Usman, who hasn't fought since a middleweight loss to Khamzat Chimaev at UFC 294, has teased a return to 170 pounds to make another title run. He lost back-to-back fights to Edwards to bring his legendary title reign to an abrupt halt. In recent days, Muhammad and Usman have traded barbs on social media, and the bad blood between them has been intensifying. Cormier feels Muhammad should chill out when it comes to luring Usman into a fight. In a recent upload to his YouTube channel, Cormier reacted to the brewing of bad blood between Muhammad and Usman. Here is what he said. This is one of those situations where Belal Muhammad is doing exactly what you'd expect from your champions, but you gotta be careful unless that's exactly what you want. Either he wants to fight Kamaru Usman or he's just chirping, because by doing what he's doing right now, he might have to fight Kamaru Usman, because when you bring a champion back into play who at this point isn't really in contention, because of the fights with Leon Edwards and Khamzat Chimaev, the powers that be are going, well, he did go up to 185 on 10 days notice to save a card and fought the guy that's in a #1 contender match, very close, and if it was a 5-round fight, many people thought he was going to win. Maybe he deserves a chance to fight this guy. Muhammad is expected to face undefeated contender Shavkat Rakhmonov for his first title defense. But Usman remains firmly in the mix, along with an Edwards rematch and a clash with the surging Ian Gary. Fight fans are reacting to video of UFC heavyweight champion Jon Jones grappling with Gordon Ryan. Jon Jones has been out of the cage since a submission win over Cyril Gane last March. That victory was Jon Jones's first up at heavyweight and saw him earn the title that Francis Ngannou left vacant. While he was expected to face Stipe Miocic in his first title defense last November, the champion was forced out due to injury. In his absence, Tom Aspinall won interim gold with a victory over Sergey Pavlovich. With Jones still on the sidelines, the interim champion scored his first title defense against Curtis Blaydes last month. Following the victory, Aspinall called for the chance to face Jones next. However, Dana White has instead shown interest in rebooking Jon Jones versus Stipe. As of now, there are already betting lines out for a hypothetical Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall fight. Surprisingly, the British fighter has opened as a favorite. However, some fans disagree with that. On Twitter, a thread recently went viral where fans commented on an old clip of Jon Jones wrestling with jiu-jitsu champion Gordon Ryan. Don't realize how elite Jon Jones's wrestling truly is. He's doing this with the #1 grappler of all time. And people act like he won't do this to Aspinall in a f***ing heartbeat. Gordon Ryan's wrestling is not top tier. Jones would beat Aspinall easily. Respect the GOAT. Jon Jones is the GOAT. In the thread, many were impressed with Jon Jones's performance against Gordon Ryan. While the jiu-jitsu champion isn't a wrestler by trade, he can still hang with the best of them, thus making Jones's performance against the king that more impressive. Many also stated that it's likely that Jon Jones will just take down Tom Aspinall when they fight as well. However, the two have to step into the cage first. As soon as this week, Jon Jones has shown interest in retiring rather than facing the interim champion. Former US President Donald Trump has taken aim at UFC commentator Joe Rogan. While the UFC commentator is far from a politician, he does discuss them a lot. Joe Rogan is no stranger to interviewing political candidates, having the likes of Bernie Sanders and Tulsi Gabbard on various times in the past. Earlier this year, the podcaster had independent candidate Robert Kennedy on his show as well. The independent candidate is currently polling as the best third-party presidential candidate since Ross Perot in 1992. Naturally, that made Robert Kennedy receive attacks from both major parties and their candidates. However, that hasn't deterred Joe Rogan from throwing his support behind the 70-year-old over the last few months. On a recent edition of his Joe Rogan Experience, the UFC commentator again praised Robert Kennedy. While the podcaster stopped short of endorsing him, that has led to an attack from former President Donald Trump. On his Truth Social platform, the Republican politician questioned if Rogan would be booed for seemingly supporting Kennedy over him. Not long after Donald Trump's post, Joe Rogan released a lengthy post on social media. In an X post, the UFC commentator wrote that he wasn't endorsing Robert Kennedy, but that he likes his policies. Rogan continued and praised Trump for his response following his assassination attempt last month. Regardless, Joe Rogan's comments probably won't be enough to stop the former president's comments about him. Still, the two have been cordial previously when Donald Trump has attended UFC events. Rogan has also had a lot of good things to say about the politician in the past. While some fans joked online that Dana White is probably bothered by the situation, that's likely not the case. The promoter has made it clear that he's a close friend of both men, and that won't change over a small feud. If President Joe Biden could effectively be removed from this year's election, so too can Stipe from his upcoming UFC title fight. At least that's how Tom Aspinall sees it. While nothing is official, UFC CEO Dana White has made it abundantly clear that Stipe Miocic will challenge heavyweight champion Jon Jones, and the expectation is that the fight will headline UFC 309 in November at Madison Square Garden. However, many UFC fans and pundits believe that Aspinall should get the shot at Jones. The sentiment gained even more traction after Aspinall dispatched Curtis Blaydes in round 1 to defend his interim heavyweight title last month at UFC 304. The quick and dominant victory from Aspinall was a statement that he deserves to unify the title with Jones rather than former champ Stipe Miocic, who turns 42 on August 19, receiving a title shot off a loss to Francis Ngannou in March 2021. Here is what he said: "Get Stipe out of there." Let's be honest, the guy is almost 42 years old, he's had a 4-year layoff, and his last fight was a knockout loss. Granted, he's an absolute legend in this sport, he's the best heavyweight ever statistically, but the guy needs to be pulled out of the race. For Aspinall, the comparison that really drives his point home is Biden, whose mental fitness was called into question after the 81-year-old's disastrous debate with Donald Trump in late June. Biden's performance caused high-profile Democrats to pressure Biden to drop out of the presidential race, which he did. Aspinall would like to see a similar situation play out with Stipe. Here's what he said: "The guy needs to be Joe Biden, mate. He's too old. No one's that interested anymore. I respect Stipe a lot. Pull him out, stick me in. It's right though, isn't it? It is right. Get Joe Biden out of there, stick me in." As much sense as Aspinall's suggestion might make, it seems unlikely to happen given White's steadfast opinion that a fight between Jon Jones and Stipe has to happen because of legacy. While Aspinall appears unlikely to outright get a shot at Jones, White said he could serve as the UFC 309 backup and step in should anything happen to either Jon Jones and Stipe Miocic. What do you think? Will a fight between Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall ever happen? Share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you so much for tuning into today's video. Your dedication and support fuel our passion to bring you the latest and greatest in the MMA world. If you enjoyed today's news, please give us a thumbs up and share it with fellow MMA fans. Remember to subscribe to stay in the loop with daily MMA updates. We've got a lot of exciting news, interviews, and analysis coming your way every single day. Your engagement helps us grow and serve the MMA community even better. Once again, thank you for being an integral part of our daily MMA journey.